fat dad, gonna put on a shirt. Will it fit? No, it can't, 'cause he eats all the food. Look out, here comes a fat dad. Hi, Will of Fat Dad Comics here, and I'm doing something a little different today. I'm doing a podcast kind of thing. We're just gonna talk some stuff here, and I'm here with
Slinker Genie 7.
Slinker Genie 7. He's my son. He does what do you do, like gaming
I
stuff?
mostly do like gaming videos, preferably survival games, mostly with like zombies in there. Or like if there's like mods that add zombies to a game, I'll pick those mods.
So I picked up in the theme of like Halloween, I picked up some horror books. I picked up this one right here. This is Tomb of Dracula number 18, Frankenstein's Monster number 9, No Real Significance. This one, First Time Werewolf by Night, meets Dracula in the Tomb of Dracula, or appears in the Tomb of Dracula. And then I also picked up, I got here Werewolf by Night number 33. This is the second appearance. See over here, second appearance of Moon Knight, right there. So it's pretty cool. Second appearance, pretty cool. Second appearance, awesome. Little pickup I got at one of the booths. So and then I picked up The Walking Dead number 100. This is the first appearance of Negan, I believe. Right? Is this the first time he appears?
I think. I don't 100% remember, but I think that's like around time when Negan appears. Also, the same time as Glenn's death.
Right. So this is the first time we see Glenn get brained, and when Glenn gets murdered by Negan, I I actually read this before the show got to that point. I was reading it simultaneously. I didn't like the fact that they killed Glenn in the comics, but the show was staying along the same line, but it separated from that line a few times, so it didn't wasn't like 100% true to the comic book. So I was kind of hoping Glenn was a fan favorite in the show, and I was kind of hoping that we weren't gonna see Glenn get brained, and then he did, and then I stopped watching the show as a result.
Here's the thing: the lines, they were not 100% different to the comics. It's just how it was told was different. Like for example, Abraham also got brained in the show, but in the comics, how in the show that character Denise, who wasn't even supposed to die at all, got shot in the eye by a crossbow. Same thing happened to Abraham in the comics, and that's how he was supposed to die.
Oh, okay, so right, it was a different thing. So me picking up these books in the spirit of Halloween got me thinking about the show, like zombies in cinema. And I'm a huge George Romero fan. The very first movie I've ever saw, horror movie
Same
I've
here.
ever saw, was Dawn of the Dead. Now, Dawn of the Dead is in 1978. It's zombies going to just they've already taken over the world. So like George Romero had come out in 1968 with Night of the Living Dead. It was the first time we saw flesh-eating zombies, right? So because of that, we
We
ended.
ended up getting what we got now, and I think Walking Dead made it more popular because before Romero's movies, they're really popular. They're really good, like an interesting story
You
overall.
mean before Walking Dead?
Yeah, before Walking Dead, and then Walking Dead came, and that just increased the popularity of zombies overall.
But it was interesting that because Robert Kirkman used George Romero's like style of zombie. It's a meandering flesh eating zombie. They're the Walking Dead. And if you look from like the evolution of the zombie from like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, they stood the same. Day of the Dead, they stood the same. But then you had something happen where a zombie started to show like like sentience,
Yeah,
emotion.
like slight sentience where they're able to communicate, feel things. Like the main zombie, Lamb of the Dead, he was very pissed off that his people was getting killed and he wanted revenge. So he brought him and the rest of his people who survived to take out the people who hurt them.
And so before when I mentioned so Dawn of the Dead was like it was Night of the Living Dead. It was when the first time the phenomena occurred and people just started to rise and it was like all new. By Dawn of the Dead and within this universe, you got like these a world that's trying it's crumbling. It's still trying to live like this, like it's the same.
Yeah, just
like
with zombies.
but with zombies. But the relentlessness of the zombies is they're being overrun. Also, all this like what the world sees as important is changing. Like you have like a huge bunch of people just trying to like really pretend that nothing is going on. But I mean, there's zombies eating everybody up and all that stuff. And so this band of the two National Guardsmen, TV news reporter, I'm sorry, producer, and pilot who also works for the same station.
Yeah, so both two of the people work for the same station, but one does the pilot work and the other one does the producing work. And it seemed like they were like a couple, so it made sense for them to like leave together.
Right. So this group got together. Like this group decided that they were gonna just get together
and get the fuck out.
Well, it's beyond that. So like they jettisoned like their role in society. They understood that their role in society
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter anymore. Survival is the only thing that matters. So that's when they got together. They pretty much they became criminals. They stole the helicopter that Flyboy would use to fly around and to find somewhere safe away from where they were, like major city.
And the National Guardsmen, they kind of committed treason by running. Because they were not supposed to be doing that.
It's not treason. It's not treason. It's called it's not treason.
Desertion?
Desertion, but it's something else. It's I forget what it's called, man. There's a very specific word. But
basically, there would be a lot of trouble if things went back to normal.
Right. They went AWOL, right? So they went AWOL and they left to find a safe haven, and then they found this indoor shopping mall, which back in 1978 that was not a common thing. Now it's like we have American Dream and all these major shopping centers and shopping malls, but they land on the top of the roof of the shopping mall.
At first, I think their plan was to just like stay there for a bit to like catch a breath and to recharge their batteries, to like gather whatever they need so they could get out of there. But then I think one of the National Guardsmen, they saw how useful staying in this place would be, and if they play their cards right, they could be able to live for a long time in it. So they tried, but unfortunately things got in the way, like ego and survivors.
Other survivors, ego was the first thing, because they were setting it up pretty well.
They were kind of like they blocked the entrances with trucks, but one of the guardsmen, I know, got cocky and his ego just kept flaring up, and it cost him his life because he got bit both his arm and leg.
We go from that to that. So this is that world, right? And then the evolution, to me, it's like the evolution of the zombie it's this meandering creature. It's a lot of the same for Dawn of the Dead. A lot of commentary on like consumerism. George Romero just talking about like mindless. The zombie, he says they are us in the what is the line he says? Flyboy.
I think that was Flyboy. Because Peter was the one who mentioned that
when there's no more room in hell. Okay, right. So in the film, this is commentary by George Romero. He's saying that there are us, these mindless zombies, and that's who we are. Who he saw us back in 1978 as this in society, as like this mindless consumer of things.
It's like that.
And so we see, like, you could look at from the outside in and see like this monster that all they want to do is eat. We're no different because we want the same things. All we want to do is eat, and it's through shopping, through all that stuff, and it's supposed to make us feel good. And you could see they finally get control of the place where there's no zombies around. They're completely safe, and there's no happiness. There you could see that there's starting to be this depression that occurs. there's a scene where Flyboy proposes to his girl,
And she
and
was like, it wouldn't be the same.
it wouldn't be the same because it's not real, it's not reality. And then things start to go bad. One of the characters becomes zombified, and then at that point they realize we need to just get the hell out of this place. And that's the commentary on that.
In the beginning, like this place is so neatly wrapped. You don't see that it's also a prison. It's not just a prison. It's a
Beautiful.
prison.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely.
She wasn't wrong. That shit was a prison. And as soon as shit hit the fan, they lost everything, and their only shot was.
But I feel like when those marauders came, they sort of saved them from. They broke them out of the prison, even though they were like holding up there to be safe. When the marauders actually broke through and kind of like ruined everything, and the zombies
actually helped them in a way. Unfortunately, they lost another member, but two of them was able to escape unscathed.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
1978 spoiler alert. All right, so then, so those, I know like I'm jumping back between theme and all that other stuff, but like the thing I want to like really focus on is the evolution of the zombie.
And how the portrayal keeps enhancing to it just being like the messages that they're no different to us.
And they're no different to us, but there is an instance in the third installment of Romero's film where one of those characters, one of the zombies, starts to become sentient.
Slowly becomes sentient. He develops feelings. He learns how to use things. And since he was like an ex-soldier, he remembered how to use a gun, which backfired on the main
villain, antagonist.
He is a villain, but at the same time, like it's really hard to say. I think he's just someone who he was scared. He was afraid the whole time, and because of the isolation and the whole shit that they're dealing with, kind of really fucked him up. And things got worse when he found out his dead soldiers were getting chopped up.
And that's what I find really interesting. And this kind of reminds me of a lot of what Kirkman did with Walking Dead. There were no real protagonists, antagonists. There were just factions of people. You had like in Day of the Dead, you had the scientists, you had the soldiers, and then you had that smaller group who they were just kind of like helping them out because he was a pilot.
There was a pilot
and a co-pilot,
and a technician.
No, he's a technician.
He was a technician.
So, but these guys, they were like these separate groups who were all wanting the same thing, but wanting them in different ways. So the scientists were trying to find a way to eradicate or to fix the problem. The soldiers were just supporting them, but would much rather just blow every one of them away, right?
Like just to blow all their brains out, even though one of the scientists stated that we don't got enough ammunition for that shit.
Yeah, does it make sense?
And also, what I've noticed in the movie, the amount of ammo that was wasted in that movie, how the fuck are you gonna blow all the brains out when you can barely hit their heads?
Accurately, right?
Like you know how to kill them, but yet you just unload on them and barely hitting their faces, knowing that their faces is where you're supposed to be hitting.
Right. Yeah. So the evolution of the zombie, Bob, he starts to become sentient, and I think what Romero was trying to say was people could wake up from this like world
of
consumerism, of being mindless zombies and just accepting like this kind of like world where we're just eating and not really having anything that's truly fulfilling as for the human experience. And the pilot and the technician, their feelings were more towards like let's
just exist, let's just live, and that's why like earlier in the movie, the pilot was like, what we're doing here is a waste of time. This is bullshit. What we're doing, this is crazy. We should just go find an island somewhere, soak up on some sunshine, and spend the rest of our days until the day we die, just enjoying our life.
Right. So then the very next Romero film is The Land of the Dead.
Oh, and that's when like we saw more like sentient zombies in that one, especially with like the main zombie kind of controlling the whole group.
And I think he says, I think Romero says that the bad guys, the protagonists are actually the zombies.
In this exchange, that's what I love about Land of the Dead is that the zombies were the real protagonists and the bad guys, even like the good survivors, like the protagonist survivors, even they could be considerably be the bad survivors because alongside the bad survivors, they went into their land, took their shit, killed their people, and continuously kept killing the people even after that, uh, over and over until shit just it hit the fan and it really backfired on them because
And I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to what Flyboy said in Dawn of the Dead, where he goes, "They're us and we're them," and there was like this like disconnect. So these people saw these zombies as
just mindless monsters.
mindless creatures that should be murdered, and we take everything around them and they don't matter. And in reality, they're like, wait, no, you're invading our space. Like, get out of our space and go back to you're killing our people and all that stuff.
So
you could,
they retaliate by doing the same thing.
you could see that there was some kind of commentary there with like the people seeing others as the other, and the reality is everyone is really the same, and there's just like there's like these small differences or whatever.
And one interesting thing that recognized when you mentioned that is that the main, actual main bad guy for the story of Land of the Dead was like there because the human protagonist Riley he was telling him like, yo, the stenchers they broke through the gate and they're on their way over there. You should probably like worry about that. And he was like, you focus on your task. We won't have to worry about these stenchers. Name of the zombies in the movie. They're just mindless corpses. Focus on capturing this terrorist and get my fucking truck back. That backfired on him for not worrying about the zombies because not only did they get into the city that the humans was able to take over, but they ended up getting to where he was, which is like his main penthouse thing that he took over. There was actually a game that we saw like a prologue as to how they were able to take over. And it was just one guy. They used one guy to take out whatever zombies in.
All right, so but the thing that was beautiful about Land of the Dead to me was like at the very end, and this was like the biggest Romero production because Night of the Living Dead was a low budget film, Dawn of the Dead was a low budget film, Day of the Dead was a low budget film, and I mean the
film for low budget.
Yeah, but the horror genre never got full respect, and particularly Romero's type it's just a gore fest. But Land of the Dead was like a big production. It was like Universal Studios.
A lot of good messages.
Well, no, I'm just saying like they had big gun. They had like John Leguizamo, who was very popular at the time. Not what the hell is something Hopkins. Fuck, I forget his name. Who was the leader of the Green, which is the place that they were their little enclave in
Kaufman.
Kaufman. His name was Kaufman, right?
His name was Kaufman.
And I think he said it was like that was George Bush, and that was like Bush was the president at the time, so that was like the George Bush of society or whatever. But the thing that was beautiful, like the zombies who were like mindless consumers, and like a bunch of the zombies invaded their space, this enclave, and to kind of like get revenge and to get back
at what they did to them.
The zombies were acting like zombies for the most part, but there were some of them that they were using weapons to kill.
Weapons to kill. Not only that, wasn't even bothered to eat them. They just straight up killed.
So at the very end, there's two things. At the very end, you could see the zombies not interested in eating. Some of the other zombies were eating, but they were like just moving on. So they were like moving beyond their consumerism. But then another thing that was interesting, when they went to go aim, he's like, we're going to kill the people. Remember, he's like, I don't care, shoot the people. It's like you're thinking about it, it's the people and it's also the zombies.
Yeah. So like either way they're all dead, so there was no point on just
shooting on them.
Yeah, so you had they had to like take them out cuz there's like no way of saving those people. They're already dead. Even one of them wasn't getting ripped apart. Chances are they were bitten.
They saved the zombies though by not taking that shot. So those zombies that were eating, they like saved those zombies. Those zombies were able to continue their lives. So then we evolved from there. Land of the Dead. Around the same time, we got a remake. So zombies became fast. They became more fast paced, and I don't remember why Zack Snyder wanted to make them more fast paced. I think that's
I-
just the way the world was moving.
I think it's because of 28 Days Later when they made the fat zombies, even though they're not considered zombies because they weren't like a dead, they weren't Romero type of zombies. They were just like people infected with like a rage virus. But with Dawn of the Dead, I think that's why they made them fast paced because that shit was so popular that more films just kept having fast
But
zombies.
I think he had some philosophy behind it, like with the fast zombies. I think he had something. I think he had something to do with, yesterday's zombie was not the same as today. So he wanted to make that, which George Romero hated. He didn't agree with.
He didn't like that the zombies were fast paced, and honestly, I don't blame him. I thought the fast paced zombies were kind of like it didn't make sense to me as well because they were corpses able to run like fucking athletes.
I could feel like Fresh Corpses could get away with
Yeah,
being
no,
fast at
I'm
first.
saying fresh corpses. That's why, like, because if if I were to like make a film and like have the zombies start out as like fast, but then slowly become walking, that makes sense. Like, and there's like a lot of games where, for example, Dying Light, they have walking zombies and they have fast zombies, and the fast zombies look more freshly turned, like they just turn and they're just running at you. And then the walking zombies, they're just
More decomposed.
Yeah, more decomposed. They're very slow, and there's a lot more of them because a lot more of them turned. So as time progressed, they were more likely to become decomposed. So I do like that where like they start out fast but then they become mindlessly slow.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So that's the evolution of the zombie, which occurred there, and then before that, even way before that, in I think it was like 1988 ish, or 86, we had Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah, which also had fast zombies. Although the difference between these fast zombies and like Dawn of the Dead fast zombies, they were not killable by like regular shit. You would legit have to burn them to ash, and you don't even want to keep the ashes because they could still potentially affect things. There's also electricity. They usually just shock them with like high voltage that could even kill a regular person. And that was like their only way of killing them.
What I liked about the Return of the Living Dead, or it seemed like the Return of the Living Dead was, it was poking fun at the George Romero zombie, the meandering, mindless zombies. So they made these zombies able to run quickly, communicate. They were able to say words. There was my favorite scene when he's just like, send more cops, and
Oh yeah, and there's like
so like they were able to like plot.
First
They
scene,
hid and they plotted, and then when the paramedics came, send more paramedics.
like first it was send more paramedics, and then the next time it was send more cops, and both times paramedics came in and the zombies were just waiting for them to like come towards the bodies, and then they immediately rushed in.
They plotted against them. So
yeah,
they had
zombies were like less mindless, smarter, and scarier to encounter.
So now they were motivated by brains, right? They were motivated by brains, and then they captured this one zombie. And then they're like, why? Like one of the mortician was asking him, like, why are you, or not the mortician, the guy who owned the shop.
No, you're
it wasn't
correct.
more, why are you doing this?
Like, oh, why do you eat people? And she says, not people, we eat brains specifically. And then he asks, like, why do you eat brains only? And she goes, the pain of being dead, it hurts. Eating brains makes it go away. So that's why they eat brains. They're like addicts. It kind of like fits into like today's addicts where they just can't help but like smoke that crack, because if they stop eating that crack, then their bodies just can't handle not having crack in their system. So they have to keep consuming crack because of the poison that they were consuming of the crack that they smoked beforehand, and just have to eat it just to feel less pain.
So even in this like parody style zombie flick, we still got some kind of commentary or some kind of like message there, and it does seem like there is a little bit of commentary on addiction, and you to get away and you're gonna go after your addiction, and you can have they'll eat a bunch of brains, but the pain is gonna continue to come back.
It's just gonna keep coming back.
Right.
It's a temporary dopamine that they would need in that moment, but of course they're not gonna be able to just eat brains like, oh, now I'm functioning. Nope, they have to keep eating more brains to
just like
function
just like an addict. It's just it's endless cycle of feeding yourself to get rid of a pain or get away from something, and then boom, it's still coming back. So I thought that was pretty like interesting. And then like talking about now we could go over to the Walking Dead, and like Walking Dead made zombies popular. Like Romero, it was really a cult following with George Romero's Zombie. But when the
Bringing back the
Walking
Romero
Dead,
style.
which he was gonna name this,
Night of the
the
Living
Night of the
Dead.
Living Dead,
But
and the editor said was like, why don't you just name it your own thing?
yeah, change it to something else.
And he
Because
changed it
that's
to the
like
Walking
too.
Dead,
Yeah.
and it absolutely is its own thing. So with that popularity, so Walking Dead made zombies, put zombies like in front of everybody. We were talking about it every week. Everyone was chomping at the bit to watch the next episode. Back when we were still watching TV like per episode once a week. And then zombies were zombie merchandise was everywhere, which is kind of funny if you think about like with George Romero.
It was like a modern day Night of the Living Dead because just like Night of the Living Dead, it was just like a whole new thing that they just experienced. Except this one was a lot scarier. Well, actually, not even a lot scarier. It's like kind of the same thing because recently departed, coming back to life, and eating the flesh of the living, and this was like zombies didn't exist in fiction or in the Night of the Living Dead series or not series in Night of the Living Dead. So everyone's like, "What the fuck? This is crazy. How could this be possible?" Same thing in The Walking Dead. Uh, Zombies in fiction never existed in this universe. So whole new thing, whole crazy fucking thing that's just going on, and they don't know how to handle it at the moment at the start. They don't know how to like take care of it. It made things worse when it turns out that it doesn't matter if you get bit or not, you're gonna turn.
See, what's great about The Walking Dead, though, and I think why it was so interesting was because it was a TV show, we got to see not only the monsters, the featured creature. We,
But
we
the monster of the people.
well, but like you got to get deep examinations of like these moral dilemmas and of these choices that needed to be made. And this is where the conversation was happening, and it made people think about like how they would treat such a situation and what they would do. And you had people like Shane was really divided the audience in half, and like you had half of the audience was like, no, he's right. Like you thought Rick was ended. Like no, where's the moral value in that? And then it's like, well, what do you expect for him to do? And like it was, you could talk about that for hours, for days, and it was fun to see that all kind of
In
like
terms of
unravel.
morals, he was incorrect, but in terms of survivability, he wasn't 100%
When you say
wrong.
he, who are you talking about?
Shane, I'm talking about Shane. I thought
Was he a
like
hundred? Was
it,
he wrong in morals? Because it's whose morals are you talking about? And this is why it's interesting.
that's why there's like like a dilemma there because like uh in his mind it's all about survival and we should not be wasting.
And he's not wrong.
Yeah, and he's not wrong. Like you shouldn't be wasting resources on trying to find somebody that's probably dead. And when him and Otis was about to escape, if he didn't shoot Otis in the leg and left him for dead so he can get away with all the medical stuff that was needed to do surgery on Carl, not only would both of them have died, but Carl would have died as well. He ended up sacrificing one person so two people can live.
But here's the thing, like that's fine. Like you could look at those things in retrospect. But how many times Rick and his crew, the protagonists of the show, did some questionable shit that was like honestly kind of made them. If you look at it from another lens, they were the bad guys.
No, a lot of times that they were considerably the bad guys. I like for example when during the Negan arc, when Rick decided yes the group would have just taken their shit and killed somebody of theirs anyways, but if you look from their lens, uh, if you you could and you're not even like at the outpost where they because they thought to attack the outpost first before they attack them, clear them out. In that moment, they could be considered as the bad guys in that moment because now the other group members of the Saviors are hearing like, "Yo, our outpost was attacked by these people, and all of our guys are dead." Uh, that's considerably, and Negan pointed this out to Maggie, saying like they had those men that you guys killed. They had friends, girlfriends, families that they had. And now him as a leader, now he has to explain to them why he couldn't stop that from happening.
You know what that makes me think about? It makes me think about when you watch like Star Wars or like a Marvel movie or any of these things, and you see like these collateral damage, just like, you know, cannon fodder for the heroes. So like when you see a battle and you see like a group of soldiers and then they die and all that stuff, and like they're human beings
And
with
they got
real
killed
lives.
trying to like help the heroes getting killed.
But like our
because of it.
mind automatically is like, oh, that's not Captain America, that's not Spider-Man, that's not, so who gives a shit? But in actuality,
But actually, it's fucked up that those soldiers ended up dying because they were trying to help the heroes but got killed
Yeah.
because of it.
but that's what was so great about The Walking Dead, was they took these small meaningless characters and put meaning to them, which I think was great. And because again, I'm gonna say, because it was a show, it's not a 1.5 hour. You're not trying to watch a 2 hour zombie flick. So hour and a half, you're gonna get hour and a half, hour 45 max. You're not gonna be able to delve into all of this stuff the way you could with the way they did with Walking Dead, and that's what made Walking Dead that much better. But of course, popularity does die down. So it did die down, and I want to ask you, because I was out, like I mentioned earlier, I was out after they killed Glenn, but it was still fairly popular after Glenn, because the Negan arc was apparently like a really great arc.
It was a really great arc. One thing, there's many mistakes that they did with that one. One of them being is getting rid of a major character that was a huge role in the comics. Same thing with like in the earlier
Who are you
seasons
talking
when Carl, because they killed Carl off in a stupid way too. He went to go save someone and got bit because of it. Yeah, that's how
he
they killed.
didn't get a great send off.
He didn't great send off. And also there was another character they killed early on that honestly was kind of fun if they were able to not kill Carl off. But Sophia, she wasn't even supposed to die either. It was actually Carol who was supposed to die and get bit by a walker, not Sophia. But when they killed her off, it did kind of shift things into a different direction. But they were able to fix that. But as soon as they killed Carl off, everything just died down, and then made things worse when Rick ended up going missing.
Yeah, I mean, you could see, just like a lot of shows, they start to dwindle down, and
Make terrible decisions.
well, I mean, it's just hard to keep that same. It became rinse and repeat, just like a lot of these shows. It's just rinse the plot. You know, it was very what do you call it? Fuck. It became It became very formulaic. So when it was unpredictable, in the earlier seasons, it became super predictable at the end. And like you mentioned, a lot of the major
Plots where
a lot of the major characters were
taken out.
They were taken out
for the future.
But it's based on real life. Like these Andrew Lincoln was tired.
He had to take care of his family because he wasn't able to spend as much time working on
which makes sense,
and other projects.
Yeah, which makes sense.
I actually was fine with that.
So what's up with zombies today? Like what is out there today with zombies?
Not much. I think like video games is actually kind of keeping the trope there a little bit. I think there's like less
the genre.
The genre. The films in terms of zombies, there's not much to go on with films anymore. People are just spending less time on making zombie films and more.
Well, no, games. There are some pretty damn good zombie flicks that came out since. Like Train to Busan, #Alive.
Well, I'm talking about like currently, but no, those were good ones. I saw both of them. Amazing. I didn't even bother to look at. Well, I did see the English dub version, but I prefer the sub. And this is like the first film that I would rather watch sub because I like to multitask, but so I prefer looking at like English dub based anything. But this one, I rather focus on the movie because it was that good.
Yeah, well, to me, like Train to Busan and Korean zombies. In general,
they did a sequel actually called Peninsula. That one is not even English dub; it's just English. Like they spoke like a few Korean words here and there, but it was mostly English.
All right, but I'm not worried about the Peninsula. What I'm talking about is like Train to Busan is probably one of the best zombie-based movies I've ever seen, and it has all the elements. The action, it was action-packed. It was constant action. You had character development throughout. you know, and like your main protagonist, like
He seemed like selfish from the beginning.
he
of the movie,
was, he
and
was,
he
but he
uh,
was selfish for
good reason.
for his
Like he
daughters,
was selfish for his
daughter.
daughter.
Yeah,
At the end of the movie, his last thought before he died was his daughter, the day that his daughter was born, and he was just smiling as he was just turning, and then I guess when he was like twitching out, he just fell off the train that they were leaving on, and that was like the end of it.
yeah, but like so you saw he was this dad who was a hard worker, made a lot of
He
money.
was mostly focused on his work for good reasons, but unfortunately, kind of neglecting.
He was that classic hardworking dad that never could show up to recitals or anything like that. Didn't know anything about his daughter's interests. The fact that she had the same gift, because he just asked someone, "Hey, just what would be really awesome to buy a kid, her age," and it was a Wii, and then he gives it to her. She opens it, and
I already have a Wii.
and she
Dad.
just she just looks back, and you see the fucking Wii chilling in the background, and she's like, and he's just like, oh fuck, like he didn't he, and I think this just happens. People
He
work,
didn't develop a relationship with her.
but it's because people work. They think that they just need to produce. It's another ailment that we have as a society. Like we just
Like,
need
there's
to
more
produce.
than just working and just providing money. You also got to provide like emotional stability to.
But you gotta be there for people, and that's gonna create emotional stability. You have to be there for people, and that's what the whole development was. And he also
That he
saw
wasn't
that.
always there, and then this whole crazy shit happens, and he was just there 24/7 by her side, making sure that she was protected as much as he can. And then when they got separated, he fought across the train to get to her.
I don't doubt his. The whole thing was I don't doubt his motivation for her. My whole thing was that in the development of this character was beyond that. His development was he started caring about other people and strangers and doing instead of what was
Oh yeah, that's
for
right.
his survival, it was more about everyone's collective survival. And that's where he was developing as a human being. He always cared about his daughter.
But he didn't care about anyone else.
Anybody else.
And his daughter even like called him out on that. Like, you don't really care about anybody else but yourself, Dad. And that kind of broke his heart a little bit.
And that's
he
why
slowly developed to care
well,
about other people.
Well, he started to realize, and that's why I think at the very end, when as he's turning, the thought he has, and he has like a little smile on his face, the thought he has was his last thoughts were about his daughter, like her as a baby, her in different ages, and he smiled, and then he took himself out. Spoiler alert if you didn't see Train to Busan. So, but yeah, like that, to me, that's a different kind of like evolution. I think they took a little bit of 28 Days Later with like it was a viral thing.
It was like a viral thing, except they were dead.
But they reanimated.
Yeah, they were reanimated. There was one thing about them though, is that you can blind them, so they're not nocturnal like most zombies, where they could actually see in the dark. These zombies couldn't. If there's darkness, they're blinded for until darkness becomes light.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, it was a great movie. I think so. I think there's definitely there has been zombie fatigue since The Walking Dead, and you know you did have like a couple of things like Train to Busan, and even 28 years later came out recently, which I personally I enjoyed that movie a lot.
I enjoyed it too. It didn't have that same feel as like the previous two movies, so I guess some people were kind of let down that it wasn't the experience that was promised.
I think they treated it like. I think they treated it like again with Evolution. They had like specialty zombies, or like special type.
Dead, or like Dying Light, Dead Island, even.
Yeah, so you had these different zombies. In the
Last of Us.
Yeah. So right, and Last of Us is I think another.
And it's in a show. It's a show now. It originally started out as a game, but then they added it as a show. Which season 2, by the way, I don't recommend it. Where they have like special effect, where it started out as like runners, but they're just people who just turn. And then eventually, they slowly.
I think the world knows about. Well, maybe they don't. Maybe not everybody knows about Last of Us.
Not everybody knows about Last of Us.
You're right. My bad.
I
didn't watch it, by the way.
They slowly go from runner to stalker, clicker, which is like the mushroom head monsters are
But
blind.
what is it? So what is it? Are they like infect? They're controlled by
They're
a fungus.
controlled by a fungus, so they're living. They need their host to live, so they don't even go after dead bodies because if it's dead, they're not gonna be able to really control it. But it's
Based on a real
based on like a real fungus
Fungus.
in real life that infects insects, specifically ants mostly, because there's a lot more of them, and it takes over the ant, makes it not behave properly, and then the ant just slowly dies and spreads out this like spore like thing that
spores.
so it could infect whatever insect.
So what
that's
does it go
nearby.
back to the colony or something like that, and then
Oh
infects
no, the
all the
colony
other?
kicks out that ant.
Oh, because they know
Because they know because
it's infected.
ants are smart. They can tell when an ant is sick and could be damaging to the colony, so they kick that ant out when they recognize it.
Also, it's not easily spread amongst.
So it's
them.
not easily spread amongst
They,
them.
it's probably would have been easier if it's us people because we don't fucking know this shit. We're too much into ourselves.
Yeah, like literally, someone could confess to being a serial killer to someone that they were with, and no one else would pick up on the fact. This guy just said that oh, he's a serial killer. Like someone could literally do that, and no one would really bat an eye because they're too much in their self.
Yeah, that's a big thing with society. I think we all kind of like just bat an eye at bad or things that are pretty bad, or like or doesn't really jive in the world. I think if it doesn't really affect us, we're not getting upset. But yeah, I mean, Last of Us. So there is some kind of version of the zombie out there today, and but I'm gonna tell you, and we'll do this. I still, for me, I want you to give me your top five. We'll start from five, work our way down. We'll go back and forth.
Save the best for last.
Yeah, we'll save the best for last. But like, just letting you know, I'm an old head. You're not gonna get anything really modern on my list. Maybe one or two, but you could start. What's your number five?
By the way, same here, kind of. I'm not an old head, but I prefer the classics. So for number five for me would be Return of the Living Dead, where like the zombies start out as where it takes place if Night of the Living Dead was real. So when the second outbreak hit, they find out that not only zombies can't be brained, but they also want brains, uh, which is what I like about it is that it like what we talked about earlier, the portrayal of addiction and how the zombies are feeling this pain because they're dead. And that's interesting. They feel pain. Even when you hit them, they feel pain. Uh, so they need to eat brains to feel less pain of the fact that they're dead. But unfortunately, it's just temporary dopamine, so they need more and more brains. So it's like an interesting portrayal on addiction.
My number five is Dawn of the Dead, circa 1978. First zombie movie I ever saw as a kid on VHS. I already explained it. It's a band of a motley crew of individuals or a TV crew with a couple of National Guardsmen. They try to find somewhere to survive. They run into a bunch of zombies and even deadlier creatures, other people. And it's just the reason why I like it so much because of all like the commentary on it, like all the situations that they're in. It's really cool. I'm introduced to Tom Savini's style of zombie. Not his best work, and you know he'll say that he was limited, but not his best work. But still, it opened my eyes to the zombie genre because I grew up a horror hound, but to me, zombies have always been number one.
Same here. Zombies is always. I'm all about zombies.
Number four.
Oh, number four. My number fourth is Land of the Dead, and where this one takes place, where the whole world has been taken over. And the reason why I like this one is the portrayal of the zombies being able to reason a little more, but they're able to use weapons and shit, have emotion, like somewhat, and that they are basically portrayed as the protagonists of the story, and they go in and fight the antagonist.
So okay, my number four is, and we didn't talk about this earlier, is Shaun of the Dead. It came out around the same time in 2004 as Dawn of the Dead remake by Zack Snyder. This is a British zombie comedy film with zombies. The reason why I like this one is because it's actually a good movie. It follows a really good story. It's funny all the way through. It's a heartfelt. It has all the moments that you need in a movie. It's horrific, it's funny, it's all those things wrapped up. Great character development from beginning to end. Shaun of the Dead to me is a legit zombie movie.
Yeah, it was. I loved that movie too. It didn't make it my top five, unfortunately, but definitely could be a top 10 for me.
Number three,
Number three for me is similar to your number. Wait, what was your number? Number four? Night of the Living Dead, or was it
Dawn
number
of the
five?
Dead is my number five.
All right, Night of the Living Dead, except the remake version. I love this one more than the OG, because there's like more grittiness to not only the music but like the story. It's like kind of the same story. A group of survivors ended up in this house and they're trying to survive. Unfortunately, they're trying to survive until help arrived. Unfortunately, by the time help arrived, it was nearly too late. But except this one, it's the main protagonist, Barbara. She's the only survivor, which I like that they made, instead of making her the useless woman who was just freaking out the
The
whole
useless
time.
woman trope.
Yeah, they made her as actually the girl boss trope, where she actually was completely useful, from like killing majority of the zombies, helping out with barricading, and then finally escaping. And she actually was the most realist one there, because in the movie, she was like, "It's not safe to be up here or down in the cellar. Or we're just gonna be trapped either way. And our best bet is to just go and run past these zombies because they're super fucking slow
Yeah,
and they're easy to avoid." And when she did that, she was able to get the fuck out of there.
she's rational. All right. So my number three, right? We're up to number three.
Yep.
Number three, we have, and we didn't mention this earlier. This is another Romero film, one of my favorites. It's Diary of the Dead, and so there was an evolution to there was what was going on in society was a lot of people started to film things and post it on YouTube or the internet, and we just started to experience reality from behind a camera and on our TV screens and our laptops and our phones and all that stuff. And this is when this really started to happen, and it was sort of a reboot to the Dead series, where it was the first time the phenomena occurred, except it was more modern, and this was just a new type of way for us to we become kind of became like voyeuristic, kind of like creatures, and we just watched the world fall apart, and no different than in reality, especially at that time when it was like really prominent and it was like pervasive throughout society on a global scale. So that's why I like Diary of the Dead. It really touched on those topics, and in true George Romero form, he had something to say through these characters, and more through these characters than these zombies, but through both these characters and these zombies.
Uh,
Number two.
we're on number two. Okay, so my number two is Dawn of the Dead. Original Dawn of the Dead. Because I like the isolation, or like the characters being fooled by the fact that, oh, that the mall is such a gold mine and it's like a great place to stay in, but what they don't realize that it's also really mostly just a prison, and that they were just isolated there the whole time, to the point where ego kept hitting and kind of leading to half of their group members dying. And I just liked the portrayal of sometimes some places are just too good to be true, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely that was a good one, and it was fun to watch too. It had some really cool kills.
Yeah, I like both versions, but I like the one that we have in Blu-ray a lot better.
Yeah, my number two, Train to Busan, and I watched it subbed. I don't watch it dubbed because you kind of like lose the reality of their emotions when they're talking. But again, this is a dad and a daughter trying to make their way on a train, and then these zombies start to invade, and they're just trying to survive. And as society is crumbling, they're just trying to survive on this one train and just trying to get from one place to the other to safety. And you got a lot of development. You meet some great characters. You also get to feel some like real emotional attachment to some of these characters. It's just great storytelling. To me, today the Korean zombie is king. They kind of like taken the crown with like the kind of stuff that they've put out in more recent years and more modern times between like the 2015 2020 era.
Like there's like many Korean zombie films. Or there's All of Us Are
And
Dead
shows?
and shows. All of Us Are Dead. There's Kingdom. There's Hashtag Alive, and then there's Train to Busan 1 and 2. There's like a good amount.
Number one.
Number one for me, and if you've noticed on my shirt, this is my number one. Day of the Dead. I just love the portrayal of how isolation and a unfortunate situation could lead to someone's mental state, and how fear and the not understanding why and how shit's happening, the crazy shit that's happening in the movie, which is zombies, and how like the scientists are trying to fix a hopeless situation, but even then they start believing that this shit is hopeless, and their thought is to just get the fuck out. Until one scientist thought, why don't we control these zombies? We gotta give them a sense of reward to make them more domesticated, kind of like what we do with pets nowadays, where we domesticate them to do whatever we want, and also to just like not be feral. But that is like a really hard thing to go for, because they're zombies. They're not like house pets that you just have in your home, which ended up causing them to. It ended up leading to many crazy shit, where a lot of people dying. Eventually, the pilot and one scientist.
In true Romero fashion, everything fell apart, and the remaining survivors had to get the fuck out.
And they were able to live happily ever after.
Not really. We don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, they ended up on an island.
They went on an island, right?
Yeah, so we know what we saw in the ending.
No. All right, my number one is Night of the Living Dead OG, and that's because George Romero, King of the Zombies, brought us the flesh-eating zombie and made people scared of things coming back to life and eating them alive, and really started to make us look at a lot of social issues that was occurring through these creatures. And I mean, zombies are very interesting creature, because they resemble us, they resemble our family, and you know, you have to contend with that fact. And I think George Romero created a creature that kind of gets overlooked, because they're not looked at upon as like, you know, Dracula, or you know, Wolfman, or like these universal monsters. It's a little closer to the Mummy. The Mummy's like, you know, comes back from the dead or whatever. But
yeah, although it's different, it doesn't turn you into a mummy.
Right. But the zombie, I think, is a fan favorite amongst a lot of gore fans. And it became a mainstream favorite for a little while amongst the general public because of The Walking Dead. But anything, if you like anything zombie, you have George Romero and Night of the Living Dead to thank for that. And that's why that's my number one.
Yeah, and unfortunately, just like the MCU universe, we got zombie fatigue, and not many people is as interested as, well, like people like me is currently. I'm always gonna like zombies till the day I die, but not many people do.
All right, so I want you, Logan, now to like look at the camera, and I want you to sign off.
I'm Sigurd Genie7. This was a Halloween special zombie podcast. Genie out.
And I'm Fat Dad Comics, and as I like to say at the end of all my videos, stay tuned and keep collecting.